The 8-Minute Devotion is on a 12-week break for the summer. We'll be back with brand new episodes on September 9th. Until then, enjoy this episode from our classic I Am series, first recorded back in 2019. God bless and have a great summer.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the 8-Minute Devotion. We are looking at the bread of life. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. We're looking at the 7 I ams of Jesus. And the first one, I am the bread of life. And we looked at that first one yesterday. We saw how Jesus said this. The context was it was right after Jesus had fed the 5,000. It was the day after. The people were so excited by the natural food. Jesus is trying to get them to see things spiritually. He tells them, I am the bread of life. And as the bread of life, there are 4 things that this bread does. And we're going to look at the first one today, and that is that Jesus is bread that satisfies. Jesus is bread that satisfies. You know, he said that in John in verse 35, which we read yesterday. Those who come to me will never hunger and will never thirst. You know, this certainly is not how natural food works. This isn't the way natural food works for us. When it comes to natural food, you eat it once, you're hungry again in a very short time. You know, I eat and I'm hungry again in 3 hours. My teenage boy eats and he's hungry again in an hour. And that's how I was when I was younger as well. But you see, as human beings, we generally have to eat and always look for new sources of food. But Jesus says, look, if you eat of my bread, if you eat of the bread of life, you will never hunger again. The people who were following Jesus that day, the people who were following him because of what he had done the day before, they couldn't understand this. All they could see was the bread and the fish that they had eaten the day before. As we said, it was hard to get daily sustenance in the world at that time. You generally had to work for it. You want to eat, you have to work. There were no supermarkets where you could just get, of course, they had markets, but no supermarkets just abounding with food like ours. Most people, if you were a normal laborer, you didn't have pantries, you didn't have a lot of stores of food. And the people saw what Jesus could do for them. The people saw, wow, he can make food. He's handy. It would be great to have him around. Let's make him our king. But you know, Jesus was trying to get their attention. Jesus was trying to take their attention away from the natural to the spiritual. Don't follow me just for the natural food you can get. Follow me for the eternal treasure. Remember Matthew 6, verse 19 to 21. Jesus said, don't put your treasure on earth where moth and rust will corrupt and take away, but put your treasure in heaven. And you see, as the bread of life, as bread that truly satisfies, Jesus always is calling us to himself and away from other sources. He's always calling us and trying to get our attention. Come to me. Come eat of me. Come put your focus on me. Come commune with me. Turn away from the natural things and put your focus on me. He always has to call us because man has a tendency to turn away from the eternal and look to the temporal, to turn away from God's finest buffet for junk food. You know, much as many people do in the natural, we have a tendency many times to turn away from the food that is most nutritious and best for us to eat what is junky and quick and gives us a quick buzz. We have to be careful, of course, in the natural not to do that too often, to go for the quick junk food over the food that really satisfies. That's a picture of what the spiritual is like. And the spiritual is much more important that we don't try to fill our hearts and fill our minds and fill our time and spend our energy on the junk food. God has the finest buffet for us. He has the finest buffet of spiritual, eternal treasures. Let's not fill up on that which has no value, that which won't last, that which is junk. Let's not fill up our tank on that. Let's save our hearts. Let's save our spirits on the food that the Lord has for us, the bread that will never fade away. You know, Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, was facing a problem much like this in Israel and Judah at the time he wrote, about 600 years before the time of Christ. The Lord spoke through Jeremiah, and this is what the Lord said in Jeremiah 2 and verse 13. For my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed out cisterns for themselves, broken cisterns that can hold no water. The Lord said through Jeremiah, look, my people have done these two things. They've committed these two faults. They left me. They left the fountain of living water, and they tried to make their own cisterns. They tried to carve out their own wells. These are the evils that my people have committed. Friends, let's realize that only Jesus satisfies. Let's not try to create our own cisterns and our own wells, but let's turn to the fountain of living water. Turn to the one who can satisfy eternally. You see, we all have this tendency, just as the Lord's people did in the time of Jeremiah, that when we want something, when we need security, we look to make it on our own. When we need entertainment, we look to things of this world. When we want love and affection, we look first to earthly sources, earthly people. These sources ultimately will all fail. None of these sources can meet us eternally. Even the best of these sources, like earthly love, like a good marriage, as wonderful as it is, it doesn't meet our eternal needs. Only the love of Jesus, only the bread of life can satisfy us eternally. Let's realize that only Jesus satisfies and not try to create our own cisterns and wells, our well of earthly riches, our well of entertainment, our well of new hobbies, our well of earthly love. Let's allow everything to flow through what Jesus gives us. Let's allow everything to come through the treasures that he gives. The truth is this, friend, your riches will fail you. Your entertainment will grow boring. Your love will grow cold. At the end, you will be like Solomon. Solomon, one of the richest men the world had ever seen. What did he say at the end of his life? Vanity of vanity, all is vanity. You're worthless. Everything he had gotten in the natural, all of his treasures, all of his toys, all the things that he had spent his life chasing. Vanity of vanity, all is vanity. You'll become like the Israelites. They grew tired of miraculous manna. God gave them manna every day, and they grew tired of it if you don't keep your eyes on the Lord. Only Jesus satisfies eternally. So let's learn to turn to him. He is bread that satisfies. Jesus is the bread of life. If we eat of him, we never perish. His word, his spirit, they provide us sustenance. They provide us all that we need. We don't have to go through life hungry. We don't have to go through life lacking. We don't have to go through life searching for the next high, the next buzz, the next thing to excite us. Jesus is bread that really satisfies. So friends, let's put our hearts on him, our minds on him. Let's look to him for satisfaction. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow on the 8-Minute Devotion.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Minute Devotion. We trust you've been encouraged and blessed today. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or by visiting the8minutedevotion.podbean.com. For questions or comments, please email us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you.